Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Please kindly let me know if you can see my screen and hear my voice. Thank you very much. I have received confirmation that you can see my screen and hear my voice. We will start this webinar in 30 seconds. Thank you for confirming and kick off 30 seconds from now. Thank you. This webinar is being recorded from this moment onwards. So, hello everyone. I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. Today we will discuss how you could trade the news in an effective way. The agenda for today's webinar will be first, we're going to do a short introduction. Then we will be discussing a bit about price action against mean reversion strategies. Then we're going to focus on how to trade the news effectively. We're going to discuss a few steps that you should take prior to trading the news and also when trading the news. Then we're going to discuss about dangers that you should avoid when trading the news, and then we're going to finish off with a Q&A session. So any questions you have it, please note that we have a Q&A session in the end, and we will discuss the questions there. So first of all, sorry, I haven't made this. Here is better. Apologies for this. This is a legal disclaimer. Please go over it for the next few seconds, and then we will continue afterwards. Okay, now with this out of the way, let's proceed. Second. Okay, introduction. Blue Sky Forex of and FX traders to trade in a safe manner. Blue Sky Forex is presenting this webinar on behalf of Forex in order to educate you and help you become highly profitable currency traders. Now let's start getting into the content of this presentation. First of all, there are two types of strategies in currency trading: price action and mean reversion. Price action is a lot more powerful. I'm sure you have heard the phrase, the trend is your friend. However, identifying a trend can be a bit more difficult, as a trend needs to be fueled by news in order to carry serious weight. Okay, so here's the first one, needs to be fueled by news. Okay, mean reversion is a lot more common. It's easier to identify and can be profitable too. Mean reversion is basically when you see the price moving towards one direction without any news or anything like that, and eventually this has, since there's nothing driving the price, then it will come back to its original point, and so it will revert to the mean. So that's why it's called mean reversion. Trading the news effectively requires a keen eye in identifying price action and knowing when a mean reverting market switches to a trending one, and then estimating how long the trend may last. And we will be discussing about this. So, first of all, this is a very important thing. Trading the news requires planning. Trading the news is not something that you can do just when you wake up one morning, you say, hey, I want to trade the news, and then you just open a chart and start trading. No, it's not how it works. First of all, you need to pre-plan what news events you are going to trade in any given day. Then you need to discuss, we'll be discussing what major news events should one trade in general. So not every news is a news that you should trade. Also, news is a price action strategy, so trade accordingly. And then we're going to discuss about how to calibrate your trades. Pre-planning the news day. It's very important that you don't just trade the news on the fly. You need to wake up and get access to an economic calendar which is available to you on the Hot Forex website. The economic calendar is planned a month in advance and shows you all the major country-specific economic and often political news events releases which could impact asset and currency prices. Okay, so it's not only economic news that you're looking for, you're also looking for political news, events, and anything else that could influence the way a society, there was an economy, and there was a country is supposed to behave. Focus on major events, 4 to 5 star, 4 out of 5 star, or 5 star out of 5 star, or often indicated in red only, depends on what the economic calendar uses. They are the ones that are potent enough to cause a sustained price action trend. You cannot trade all news. A lot of news is inconsequential or absorbed by volume. Here's an example of an economic calendar, and here you see there are certain news that you see coming up during certain different times, and also you see the importance: medium, low, high. Okay, in general, low will be blue, red will be high, medium will be something like yellow. Okay, and in theory, next to its news line, you'll be seeing two figures. One figure will be the most likely would be previously or expected, and then the other line will be the actual. It's something like that. Those three numbers are basically on a plan. On a calendar. This calendar should be seeing this cycle that you can see what are the news that's a very important one. These are articles confirm that you have issues with the sound. Okay, I'm hearing from another person that the audio has issues. So if I see this complaint from one more user, then I'm gonna have to find another way or speak to Hot Forex and schedule this webinar. I'm very sorry about this. So can you please let me know if you have issues with my sound right now? Okay, I'm having confirmation from users that saying that the sound is okay, now is okay, they can hear without any problems. So I will continue this slowly and let me know if you're experiencing any issues. And what we will do is, since this webinar is recorded, you will be able to hear it then, or you can write to, at the end you can send an email of Hot Forex, and request for this webinar to be rescheduled. We will do it another time as well. Okay, I'm really sorry about this. So, but I will continue for now and let me know if you have any issues. So, I just mentioned earlier that these are the major important items that you should be looking to trade. Okay, these are the ones that have the biggest influence on the price movement and of a currency and a currency pair. So, but let's dig into this. Now, it's okay. Let's say that you identify this. So let's start here. So let's say you have interest rate decisions, or you have something important news coming up, and you have identified them, and now you're waiting for the charts. You're looking at the charts to see something so that you can trade. The first thing, the most important thing that happens when you have news breaking out is called the Bollinger breakout. So basically, let's look at your charts. Okay. First of all, ignore the 10 minutes that you see at the top. This is just for us to find a better example of what you should be seeing. Okay, of what formation you should be seeing in the charts. So let's discuss this a bit. So first of all, we hope that on your charts during the day you have Bollinger Bands set up, and also you have about 14 periods, which is the best thing to have when you're trading, 14 or 9, especially during the day. Let's say you're at 14. And as you see, let's say here is where news come out, right? This time of this candle. So what you see prior to news is basically you see people trying to take a stance to try to stay away from trading the news. That's why you have from trading at all, because they're waiting for the news to come out. So that is the reason why you have consolidation of the pricing. So you see price starts moving in a parallel way because people don't want actually to be placing any trades prior to news, because then it becomes more difficult. So because when you're trading before actually having the news, then it's like gambling, right? Because you don't know which direction the news will go. So it's never safe to trade prior to knowing the news. And what you see is, together with the consolidation of the price, so the price moving in parallel, you see the Bollinger Bands coming together. You see here, Bollinger Bands are coming together. So, and when the news come out, a lot of the times you'll be seeing a breakout. So you'll be seeing that the price tries to break either upwards or downwards, and also you will see the price trying to move quickly into one direction, and also the price will often exploit boundaries and prices above or below here the outer Bollinger Band. Okay, so what you're seeing is prices is Bollinger Bands coming together, and when news come out, then bands start to expand quickly, and prices start moving to one direction and closing outside the outer bands. This is the breakout. Now let's discuss a few things. The breakout warrants a price action strategy to be used, because remember, you are taking an action, you're taking a trade in the direction of the price movement. So here you'll be taking a call trade. So you always bet in the direction of the trend and wait for a confirmation for a second candle. 10-minute time frame is it's the first time frame that you should be looking at. Then of course 30 minutes and 1 hour is a lot better, but in order to identify that the breakout is happening, you can also use the 10-minute chart. But now here are a few things before we proceed to the next slide. Let me just check what the next slide is. Okay, I don't want to see calibration. Let's discuss about the news. When do you actually trade the news? You don't actually trade the news when you have a news event. Just having a news event, one of these, is not a good enough reason for you to place a trade when the news come out. You should always be trading in the surprise in the news. So if, let's say, interest rate decision is supposed to come out at 0.5%, let's say, but then and the result, and then when the decision comes out, it is 0.5%, then breakout most likely is not going to happen, because the market has already taken into account that the 0.5% that was expected. They expected the 0.5%, so no big change is going to happen in the market. What is actually going to drive the price is if there is a surprise in the news. Okay, so if the actual news are very different to the ones that is expected to come out, like the decision, then you're gonna have the chance to trade the news. And that's very, very important. If it's only one thing you take out of today, is that should be that you should just not trade the news. You should trade the surprise in the news. Okay, that's the important thing. Now, how to calibrate? First is to discuss when to enter. News takes about 15 minutes for the market to assimilate. Do not enter 0 to 5 minutes after the news, as it's a period of heavy volatility and the market is still making sense of the numbers. Always have candlesticks. Always have candlesticks and Bollinger Bands on your charts. Okay, that's a very important thing. Always do that. And the second thing you should be doing is always set your risk. We will be discussing this about later on. Your risk-reward ratio. Again, always set your risk-reward ratio to 2 to 1. Okay, those should be the things that you should be looking for. Now, here are some trading dangers. Some dangers that come together with news trading. Okay. First of all, let's start with a more general one, and then we'll discuss how news are involved. In general, do not trust bots. Okay, expert advisors and robots are very dangerous, and very few work on a longer-term basis. Also, most of them do not work during news. Right? It's very difficult to find an expert advisor that works during news. Okay, then news events that are numbers based here may be followed by conferences where critical statements could be made by policymakers, thought leaders, etc., that sway the price action in the opposite direction. So when you're seeing some news that are about to come up, okay, and just a decision, but then afterwards there is a conference, there is a statement or something about those news, then it will be wiser to just wait for that statement to be done before you actually place a trade. Okay. Next one, when trading majors like Euro USD, USD JPY, GBP USD, be very careful of the conflicted data sets or data points that can cause a tug of war on the pair. Okay, as this can reduce the efficiency of your news trade significantly. So basically, what this is saying is that because when you have currency pairs that involve major pairs, then there are more than one things happening at the same time. So always keep those in mind, because a lot of them can be conflicted data and can be giving different signals, mixed signals, right? So you don't want to be caught up in such a situation where you have one news saying one thing, trying to put the price in one direction, and another news wanting to send the price into a different direction, and then you have just missed one of the two, or you're just trading one of the two. You should be looking at the currency pair as a whole. Now, sometimes numbers are too good to be true or a large miss. Normally, there are adjustments in play here. So price may shoot in one direction, indicating a firm trend, but then it recover quickly. So even when news come out, be very careful, because there could be a correction coming up very soon. Okay. I hope you were able to hear my voice better after the start of the webinar. It's now time for your questions. If you have any, you can email your queries to webinars@hotforex.com as well. And I just want to come here, those two things, and just mention again that interest rate decisions, GDP releases, CPI releases, job announcement, parliament votes, and consumer confidence data, these are important things that you should be trading, but also always in the priority that are mentioned above in this webinar. But also, please note that it's not important just to trade the news. You should be trading the surprise in the news. Please keep that in mind, okay? And always when you're trading and when you have just started trading, always use a demo account first, always. And if you don't want to use a demo account, use a live account, but always start small. Always play it safe. Use your stop losses. Use a trailing stop loss if you want, which is a very safer way to trade. And then that's it. Just trade if you need. It would be better if you have also Bloomberg TV on or something else, or any news trading on, so that you can see what's going on as well. And then before trading the news, okay, trading the news is more about being, okay, trading the news is more about being knowledgeable, knowing, and having a feeling of the overall market. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions. I still haven't received a lot of questions, only a few comments, and I thank you for your comments, but no question. Olufemi just wrote a number to me, which I don't know what it is. So if you could just, if it was a mistake or was something else, just let me know. There's a question: how do we know the direction of the news? What is the direction of the news going to be ahead of the news? You do not know. Okay, this is another similar question. Is there a way of predicting the trend of the Bollinger breakout? Guys, if there was a way to predict the news outcome before we actually knew it, then all of us would be making a lot of money. And it's called, what you're saying, it's called pre-positioning, basically positioning yourself prior to the news, and it's not something that you can do. Only if you are part of bigger institutions, you have inside information, which clearly is legal as well. You cannot be doing this. And you can have a gut feeling about news and all that, but you cannot take a decision prior to news. It's gambling. You need to wait for the news to come out, see the trend developing, and then place a trade. There's a question: how do you know which news items to look out for? Basically, we discussed this. It should be the ones in red, or called high importance news, or there should be an indication there. On any economic calendar that you're looking at, there is an indicator of the severity of the importance of the news, right? So you should be looking at the highest highest important news, and also, apologies for this, here are the major news that you should be worried about: interest rate decisions, GDP releases, CPI releases, job, parliament votes, and consumer confidence data. One second, another question. What is better, trading the news or technical indicators? This is a question for your style of trading. It has to do with what you prefer doing and what you like to do, right? And what you're good at. So I would suggest trading both of them in a demo account, of course, always in a demo account, seeing how you react, seeing your performance, noting down your performance, and then taking decision based on that information that you have. It's up to you. Both can be profitable, by the way. No, sorry, I cannot offer you any setup live for confirmation. No way, it's not allowed for me to do this. What is the best source of trading news that can be relied on? You can use the economic calendar inside Hot Forex. It's a pretty good source. Okay. Okay, let me just, there's another question. Sorry, okay. If the price is above the moving average of the Bollinger Band, would this give you an idea of the trend or not? No, the relative position of the band, of the price in terms, in relation to the middle Bollinger Band doesn't give you an indication of the trend. Not really. One second, too many things coming up. One second. I'm just trying not to miss anything. Can you show some examples on the chart of how to combine Bollinger Bands and candlestick? We showed here Bollinger Bands and candlesticks. Here, this is an opportunity when you have to monitor how to identify a Bollinger breakout based on the relevant movement of the Bollinger Bands and the candlesticks here that are doji or doji-like here, and then they start exploding towards one direction. Here's an example of how you can use that. But please be aware that we have several webinars on how to use Bollinger Bands, and there's one basically next week on Bollinger Bands and trading, okay, that you could use that. There's a question, would you advise to jump pretty fast into a trade if the news is very surprising? I cannot give such advice, Glenn, but you should wait for I would not enter a trade within the first 10 minutes or 10-15 minutes, no way. I would want to make sure that everything is correct. I want to see the big boys taking the position, moving the market towards one direction, and if it's surprising, then I can still, there will be time for me to log in to go into the trade. Are there plans to provide better news effect information like percent change previous years or alerts in MT4? The alerts in MT4 are something that there are indicators that give you alerts in MT4, but also if there is a plans to provide better news effect information like percentage to change of previous years, I think there are economic calendars that provide such information. So you should be able to find that information. No, is the Bollinger Band the only indicator to analyze direction during news breakout? No, there are other indicators as well, and we have a lot of there are a lot of webinars that you can search for inside your Hot Forex panel that discuss about those other indicators and can help you how to trade the news, how to trade Bollinger breakouts, and also how to trade different other formations. So Bollinger Bands are not the only indicator out there. There are times when there are surprises in the news and the markets do not move. Instead, price actions end up consolidating. What could be the reason? Okay, so basically you're saying that there are surprises in the news, but the markets do not move. Instead, the price ends up consolidating. If the news are not strong enough, and if the surprise is not big enough, then the price will consolidate. Or if you're seeing what we discussed earlier, that you are seeing this on a major pair and then you have other conflicting news, then this could actually cause the consolidation of the price. Basically, if there are important news, and if you have surprise in the important news and price not moving to one direction, then there should be other factors like other news or something else that's already that's pushing the price in the opposite direction, that's causing consolidation in the price. Some news create spikes and some create trend. How do we differentiate whether it's a news trend or just a spike? It's a new trend or just a spike. Basically, it's not easy to differentiate this. It's a very good question. The only way you can do this is if the news are important, then most likely there is a surprise in the news, then they will create a trend. And there are no other conflicting news. But if the news are of a small importance, then and even if it's a surprise trend, then it's just going to be a spike, right? So it's the importance of the news that can help you identify this. Okay, please let me know if you have any further questions. Do we have to trade to look out for the news every day before trading? Yes. even if you're not trading the news, you should always be aware of the news, because they can end up hurting your trades, your other trades, and may cause you to lose trades, right? If you're not aware of news coming out and you're just taking a position, it's very wrong. Always look at the news calendar before you trade. Which of the time frames is best for a day trader? It will be 1 hour, 4 hour. But then again, you always need to be seeking some sort of confirmation, either in the 8 hour and 1 day chart, and also in the 10-15 minutes, just for you to time your entry properly. Okay, mainly 1 hour and 4 hour time frames. How about knowing which direction to go after the news, positive news and negative news? Positive news and negative news. Okay, so basically this depends on the currency that the news are happening on, and also the currency pair. So for example, let's say you have positive news, very good news about GBP, okay, and you have let's say GBP JPY, GBP, so the British pound to the Japanese yen. So positive news to the GBP will have a different effect than positive news to the GBP JPY pair than to the Euro GBP price, right? Because GBP, the position of GBP in the currency pair is opposite. Okay, so these pairs are inversely correlated. So good news for GBP, it will have a different effect of the pair on the GBP JPY rather than on the Euro GBP. Okay, is it advisable to set up both buy and sell stop position as a strategy a few minutes before the breakout? Is it advisable to set up, okay, a few minutes before the breakout? If it's advisable, it is a strategy that a lot of people use, but again, it's a risky because you get it, and if it's not news, if it's not actually a surprise in the news, so the price doesn't actually start moving to other direction, you could get consolidation. So the price will continue moving the same price level. So it might get hit. It might hit one of your levels or both of your levels, but then end up actually not winning just one of them, right? Because it could hit both levels, and it will be somewhere in the middle. So it will be neither here or there. If the breakout is strong, the price movement is very rapid. To wait 20-30 minutes, you will lose most of the trade. What to do? You can wait 10 to 20 minutes, but you need to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not saying to wait 30 minutes, but wait 10 to 15 minutes before placing a trade. Just wait to see how the market reacts. It's up to you though, right? That's why you should always trade first in demo. Trade in demo and see how it works for you. Maybe entering better is best for you, entering late is best for you. You just need to see that. Apologies, I heard that the sound quality was bad for a moment. Olufemi, you're asking whether there's a way for you to get processed signals forecast via Hot Forex. You should ask Hot Forex this. We're just performing the webinars for them. Apologies for this. Another question is, on what pairs and time frames should we trade the news? Okay. Apologies for this. So on what pairs and time frames? Time frames, you should always be looking at 30 minutes, 1 hour charts and 10-minute charts just to time in your entry properly. One. So pairs is the pairs that the news are coming out on. So for example, if you have news on the US economy, it makes little sense for you to trade, let's say, Euro GBP. It won't be affected. So you need to be trading the currency pairs that are related, that contain the currency that the news are affecting. There's a question about risk management from Kusika. I'm not allowed to say anything, but I would say that no trade. Our position is that no trade loss should ever account for more than 2% or maximum 3% of your account capital. Okay, so no trade. And please note that we have another webinar on proper money management techniques. But just to let you know, on your question, is that no trade size, no trade loss should ever count for more than 3% of your capital. That's it. That's a good enough, I think, answer for you. But please, guys, let's keep the questions related to news trading. Okay, any more questions? Oh, 1 minute, let me just find this. Is it advisable to set up both buy and sell stop position as a strategy a few minutes before the breakout? So no, this is not advisable. The reason is that because it looks like a lot of people use this strategy, but it looks a bit more like gambling. So you can set them up if you want to, and then see if there's a surprise in the news, and then cancel the position that you don't. So if you are there in front of your PC ready to cancel the order that you don't think is good, then you can do it. But placing an order, if you are about to stay in front of your computer, then placing an order prior to news coming out, it's just gambling. And putting both of them, because it's also gambling, because you never know how the price might move, or if there is a correction in the news, or if there is something similar. So I would suggest that you do not do this, but of course it's up to you. And again, as we say to everyone, feel free to try this out in a demo account. Try this on a demo account 5-10 times, and then see how it works out for you. There's nothing that myself or anyone else can say that is the holy grail, that's the complete strategy for success. Something might work for us, might not work for you, and etc. Right? So always try things in demo. I would not suggest in placing a trade or having a position there that you don't actually intend to make, and also especially pre-positioning the news. That's not something that we advise, but it's up to you. Maybe it works for you. This is a question. So we should wait for the price movement after the news before we place a trade. Yes, you should wait for a bit of price movement after the news have come out, so that you see that the market is how the market and the big boys are reacting to the news, and then you take a position as well. That's the question. Can RSI help to show if price action will go up or down during a news release? You're welcome, Debo. Kusika, RSI definitely helps, but RSI by itself is not an indicator that should be used by itself. So, especially regarding news, Bollinger Bands are an indicator that you should be more focused on rather than RSI. But if it can help you, RSI gives you information about the price for sure. But again, if something is overbought, let's say, or oversold, and the news come to that direction, then it doesn't give you a lot of help. The only information that it gives you is that, okay, it's already overbought, and then this happened. So it could be considered as part of pre-positioning. But again, RSI will help you, but not that much during the news. So look out for Bollinger Bands. It's safer to look at Bollinger Bands. Always. Luis is asking if it's advisable to set stop loss, take profit when trading the news. Always. Luis, never trade with your notice with no stop loss or take profit. No, never. So yes, always set stop loss and take profit levels. Plus is asking, Pius is asking, what currency pairs are the best, a major currency pair or a combination of major minor currency? That's a good question. It's up to you. If you, my position would be, if you have a major minor currency and you have the news coming on a major news, then on the major pair, then that price action, that price movement will be more evident since the stronger pair of the two, right? If you have two strong pairs, then the news effect might be less because the other pair is also strong and things are going at the same time. So to answer your question, I would, my opinion would be that having trading the news on the important news side of a major minor currency would be the best thing. But again, it's up to you, and you should always trade everything in demo. One, I see no further questions. This is the last question. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time on the call. Okay. Is there a final question? Is there a threshold, perhaps the highest deviation a currency pair price could deviate? Please, no, there's no such threshold, but keep in mind that even when news trading, when news come out, then there are other factors that come into play for the price to move other than the news themselves. So you could be having support and resistance levels, important ones or less important ones, or you could have other things happening. So it will be a few pips, a few hundred pips, but again, it depends also on the news, right? It depends on the news and how big of a surprise on the news it was. So there's no set threshold that I could tell you. Ikushika, there is no way for me to. There are plenty of calendars out there, as you say so. So if you're looking at more than one calendar, it's a good thing. So then I would focus on the news that have the indication of red in both. Okay, if it's medium in some news and red in some others, then just go with the ones that are red in both. But again, always, that's why we saw these. These are the most important news you should be looking at. Okay, everyone. Okay. Sorry, Tinashe, I don't know which site has the news with bull and bear pictures, but basically every site has a lot of sites have such information, but basically you should be able to understand what it means, which is the best. There are plenty of sites. I cannot say which. The Hot Forex one is a good one. Okay. Who can create news in MT4 news box? The different data feed providers. Okay, guys, I would like to thank you very much for your time. Hot Forex too, yes. Hot Forex offer. Have a good day ahead, and thank you very much all for attending. Thank you for your time. And please remember that this webinar has been recorded and will be available to you inside your Hot Forex panel.